Only been a few hours, but it felt like days. Only been days, but it felt like months. Been gone for a year, only know like once. Life move fast when you do what you want.
Hey y'all, welcome back to Dream Bigger, Live Larger podcast. I am your host, Adeline Lys. And today we are going to be talking about vulnerability and how it is not a weakness. Last week I introduced my little mini-series I'm having for the month of February, which is called Season of Love. And we're going to really dive deep into, pouring into ourselves, becoming our better you, becoming a better you, and just basically loving ourselves properly and just showing up for ourselves. So yes, if you guys are interested, keep on listening and keep on watching. Mwah. All right, y'all. Let me put y'all on, guys. Let me put y'all on. So, we are already in February. I feel like January was just too much in 1 month. And I feel like, I was like, you know what? Ooh, child. I felt so sad. I felt so overwhelmed with everything that was going on. With the tragic loss of people, planes crashing, the accident that happened in New Orleans that left so many people deceased. It was just so much. I was like, oh my God, I can't. February needs to come in with a positive light, positive energy, just more to ourselves, okay? And just doing things that are just enjoyable and lighting, if that makes sense. So I'm like, you know what? This is a great topic for this week's episode. And I was like, you know what? Vulnerability is something that a lot of people look down upon when it comes down to sharing your emotions and just letting it out there, right? So, when I pull out this notebook, child, you already know I got a lot to say. I want to make sure everything is nice and neat and organized, honey. Nice and neat and organized. So, growing up, if anyone doesn't know, I am Haitian, right? I was born here, but my parents are Haitian. I'm from New York City, Brooklyn to be exact. And growing up in a Haitian household, we was only taught 3 things. School, church, home. Growing up, right? School, church, home. In Creole, we call it l'école, l'église, la caille, right? That's what it means in Creole. So we were taught to learn how to be ladies and know when to speak and know when it's time to basically share out your thoughts, quote unquote, share out your thoughts. But sometimes I wouldn't even just say in a Haitian household. I would say in a Caribbean household, as ladies, as women, we were taught to, if we spoke out on something that we didn't feel right about, it was looked at upon disrespectful. We're not respecting our elders. Basically, we're just, thinking that we're grown and thinking that we were the adult of the household. And sometimes it buried, and for me exactly, it buried my emotions, but I always still wore my emotions on my sleeves, right? Sometimes sharing your emotions wasn't a thing because, like I said, once you said something or you disagreed with someone or you like, hey, I understand where you're coming from, but I'm not quite sure I like this or whatever, child, you were trying to seek an argument, you weren't being obedient. It was just so much shit growing up in a Haitian household. And as a kid, I'm not gonna lie to you, me and my mother used to really bump heads because, I feel like each parent raises their child how they were raised, right? But some things you have to understand, life goes on, life changes. So what you was taught, you might try to implement it in my life, but it might not work, right? And then once I start to rebuttal and start to say something, we look as the black sheep of the family, right? I feel like I'm considered the black sheep of the family. In and out, right? But I feel like for me, I'm a water sign, Pisces. Okay, whatever. We get emotional, we cry. Get it, right? I have no problem shedding a tear or two. But my thing is, right, as a child, I was always a person who wanted to speak out loud in my household, but I couldn't. And then when I got into the real world, I was afraid to speak out loud because I wasn't even doing that at home. So I was afraid to be vulnerable, because how can I be vulnerable in the real world when I wasn't even able to be vulnerable at home, if that makes sense. And it got me thinking, like, wow, growing up now, going to be 28 in a couple weeks, I'm like, vulnerability is not a weakness. I always look at it as the enemy, right? I always looked at it like, what I gotta be vulnerable for? Ain't nobody care about my feelings. Like, ain't nobody gonna think about me or say anything, or like, I didn't really pay any mind. I'm like, you know what? You are the enemy. Until I grew up, I'm like, listen, I can't have a hard shell consistently. Like, I have to let it out. I have to let my emotions out. I have to share out how I feel. Because if I balled it in so much, I'm gonna go crazy. So when it comes down for me learning how to be more soft, more feminine, and just more vocal about how I feel, I really started thinking, like, how did I become this woman that is now seeking vulnerability, is now seeking emotions? Because I don't understand, like, and then I start thinking back, like, it's because of my childhood and how I was raised. And I'm like, all right, well, I got to break the cycle, because I have to do better for my future self, and the relationships I get in, or the relationships I built with friendships and even intimacy, whatever the case may be. I have to be a better me. So I can't continuously think vulnerability is an enemy. I wrote down, as a woman, I want you guys to know that letting your emotions, your feelings out is okay. Crying is okay. I hate when people say, yo, I hate crying, bro. Like, this ain't even me, bro. I'm not even emotional. Everyone is emotional. Despite if you try to hide it, despite if you try to play all tough and like, they didn't know. Cry. Let out a tear or two. Because all that emotion you're bottling in and you're keeping and you're not letting it out, one day you're going to crash out. You're really going to crash out. And you're going to be like, where's this coming from? It came from all the emotions and all the feelings you was hiding deep down in you. And now it's exploding. And now you can't control it. And now you're crashing the fuck out. Okay? Learn how to just take time for yourself and let all the feelings that you are feeling out. Stop telling people, oh, I'm not a crier. Me, your host, Adeline, I'm a crier, okay? I cry when I'm, for anything. I'm crying when I'm upset. I'm crying when I'm happy. I'm crying from reading a book. I cry from watching a movie. I cry from listening to a song. I'm a crier because now I'm tapped into my emotions. I'm tapped into my feelings. And the people are like, oh, why are you always crying? Because I can. Because I can. And that's me. And I'm tired of hiding my emotions and hiding how and trying to pretend how tough. Don't get me wrong. Don't let the crying fool you. I'm still a thug at heart. Okay? But at the end of the day, I'm not going to let that define me. Like, I'm still going to be emotional. I'm still going to share my feelings on how I feel about certain things. That doesn't mean I'm weak. That doesn't mean I got to toughen up. No, I'm not toughening up. I'm going to cry. I'm going to tell you how I feel. Okay? I'm going to tell you how I feel. Sometimes we have to learn how to tap into our emotions and learn how to speak up for ourselves and say, hey, I don't like this. Or this makes me feel a type of way. Just say something. I feel like some people are afraid to be vulnerable in certain things because it's like probably in their past they've been shut down, just like I told you I was and how I was raised. Or they feel like no one is actually listening and no one is actually understanding where they're coming from, and they like, you know what, forget it. I don't even want to talk about it no more, because what's the point? Stop doing that. Stop doing that. I'm here to tell you, stop doing that. Stop thinking no one cares about your feelings, because once you think no one cares, you start not to care. And you have to tap into your emotions. You have to tap into what you want and how you want to be treated, and what you have to intake in your life, and what you have to control. Because I always tell people, closed mouths do not get fed. If you feel a type of way, say something. Because no one on this earth is mind readers. We cannot read, on what you call it, read your mind and think, oh, damn, this person feels a type of way. Let me change my perspective. No, say something. And it's easier said than done, because, like I said, sometimes we all get in our heads and we all feel like, this is a waste of time. Like, why am I doing this shit? Like, you know what I'm saying? But I'm here to tell you, say something. If you feel a type of way, say something. Like, do not be your own superhero and speak for yourself. Right? Encourage yourself to make sure your feelings are heard. Always encourage yourself to make sure your feelings are heard. Because, like I just said, once you start thinking other people don't care, you start not to care. And you start to neglect your feelings. You start to neglect how you feel about certain things. And then you bury it all inside of you. Vulnerability is not a weakness. It's a strength. Because if you could be vulnerable and share out how you feel about certain things, I always look at those type of people as the strongest people. Like me, I'm being vulnerable right now in my PJs. Like, yeah, my face might be beat and my wig might be late, but I just want to be comfortable. I don't want to get dressed all the time and shoot a video. I just want to be comfortable, because after I take all this off, I'm taking my butt to bed. Okay? But that's really all I have to say in this week's episode. Just be more vulnerable. It's not a weakness. And we are coming at the end of our episode, which is the solution part. And I wrote down, dream. Don't let your past dictate how you maneuver your emotions. Okay? Live. Always protect your peace and share what you feel, despite how it will make others feel. Okay? You are not here to please anybody. You are not here to protect anybody's feelings. You are here to protect your own feelings, and you are here to protect your own peace. Okay? All right? So make sure you say something. Make sure you are heard. All right? But that is all I have for this week's episode. I hope you guys love this week's episode. Do not forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And yeah, guys, I will see you in next week's episode. Mwah. Love you guys. Bye-bye.